channel. For those that don't know me, my name is Leah and today I have another pregnancy update for you. I have a set of questions I go through and I will go through those again today. I have had a midwife appointment and a hospital appointment since my last update, so I thought it was a good time to give an update to you. So I will start with the questions now. The first question is, how far along am I? And I am currently 38 weeks and 1 day, and according to my app on my phone, the baby is the size of a watermelon. Next question is, am I wearing maternity clothes? Today I am wearing maternity leggings, but my jumper here is just an oversized jumper from Primark, but I generally wear a mix of both. Have I got any stretch marks? Yes, plenty. I don't think there's any since last update, but there are definitely a lot of stretch marks there, unfortunately. How am I sleeping? Still in a lot of pain at night. Laying down, going from the sitting position to laying down is really hard now. I get a lot of lower kind of pelvic area pain doing that, so I have to kind of get in the right position, and that is really difficult. And then I'm getting my hip is hurting, but it's more getting kind of numb from I guess the weight of my bump and the extra weight that I'm carrying at the moment. So I have to then sit up, let it ease off and then turn over. So I'm having to turn over like 3 or 4 times in the night, and then each time I do turn over I generally go to the bathroom as well. So I'm not sleeping the best, but I am getting a bit of sleep in between those turns. Any movements? Yes, still got plenty of movements. They are quite painful at times actually. This baby likes to kick, and I'm sure it's hitting some nerves or something, because when I do, sometimes I get a kick and it really hurts. I had another hospital appointment. So my last update I mentioned that I think I'd been to the hospital, and then they asked me to come back again. The baby's head was down, but they wanted me to go back in a week's time just to check that the baby's head was still down. So they were unsure of where the baby was laying, because the baby seemed to be here, there and everywhere, but the scan shows the baby in the right position. So when I went again last week, again the baby was in the right position, head was down, but the midwife couldn't feel the baby's head and she thought the baby was all over the place. So it just seems that they can't feel the head down there, but they are in the right position, just very wriggly. And as soon as someone tries to feel where they are, they like to kick and move a lot. So yes, I'm definitely getting a lot of movements, and quite strong movements that hurt sometimes. It's good that the baby's head is in position, because they were talking about admitting me to hospital at 38 weeks, that would have been this week, and keeping me up to 3 weeks waiting for the baby to get into the right position on 2 days in a row. Obviously that was quite an anxious time for me, because I've got a toddler as well, and knowing what to do with him, because it's not as easy as just passing him on to someone else. He is quite attached to me and his dad, and I know that would upset him quite a lot to be passed on to someone else or multiple people if I was having to go into hospital. So I'm glad that that's not had to happen, and I'm just waiting now to go into labour. Any food cravings? Nothing in particular at the moment, just trying to eat foods that don't make me feel nauseous, but nothing that stands out at the moment that I'm really craving. Anything making me feel sick, like I've said in previous videos, just eating makes me feel sick, unfortunately, but if I don't eat I feel sick as well. So occasionally after I've eaten I do feel sick, not always, it will depend on what I've eaten. I haven't been able to tie down what it is that I eat that makes me feel sick. Quite often it's just potluck really, but that is pretty much the only thing that's making me feel sick at the moment. Luckily I didn't get sick at the weekend. Both my little boy and my husband were both poorly, and luckily I didn't pick that up. I'm not sure what it was, whether it was something they ate or that they got a bit of a sickness bug, but they were both poorly and I didn't get sick, so I'm really pleased about that. My gender guess, well, we already know that we're having a little boy, and I will link the gender reveal video for you so you can go and watch that if you wish to. Labour signs. I am still having Braxton Hicks. I think I'm probably getting them a lot stronger than I was. Sometimes I'm even considering whether it is an actual contraction and not just a Braxton Hick, but they do seem to go. I'm getting a lot of tightening when I'm either walking for any distance of time, so even like 10 minutes, I am getting quite a bit of tightening, or if we go for any bumps or around the corner in a car too fast, or too fast for me anyway, I am getting quite a lot of tightening in that like lower belly area, So I guess they are signs of labour, that the contractions or the Braxton Hicks are getting stronger, and I'm just waiting for them to become more regular so that I am actually in labour. Another sign of labour is I think that my mucus plug has started to go. I'm not too sure. It's about a week or two ago I was getting a bit of discharge that was very sticky, which is quite similar to what a mucus plug discharge is like. With my first Tommy, my mucus plug went all in one go and I went into labour the following day. But this time it seems to be going gradually. I've not had as much discharge this last week, but about a week ago there was kind of a lot of discharge there. Sorry if this is too much information, but this is pregnancy for you and getting ready to go into labour. So I'm not 100% sure if it was my mucus plug, but it was very sticky, like I would expect for the mucus plug. So we'll see, but it can be a sign of labour. It can be a sign that labour is going to happen soon, but it can also be weeks until you go into labour. So at the moment I'm not too sure whether that has any indication of whether I'm going to go into labour or not soon. The other sign I have had is that my bump seems to be very low now. It has been low for quite a while, and people like to comment on that all the time, how low my bump is. But I am feeling how low it is now. Like, just sitting here in this position, my belly is so tight on my legs, it's quite uncomfortable to just sit down. It's uncomfortable for my back to sit down, but now it's uncomfortable for my belly and legs because my bump is so low. I don't think it could get much lower. It possibly could get a bit lower. And then today when I was at the midwife, she measured me, and she's measured me a week over every time, but today she measured me dead on 38 weeks. So she said that maybe the baby has dropped and there's a little bit extra room there, which is why I'm now measuring at 38 weeks rather than being a week over. So who knows? I keep expecting it to happen anytime because I keep getting these little niggles, but so far nothing has happened that would indicate that I've actually gone into labour. But it's just a waiting game at the moment, but there is a few signs that it should be happening anytime now. My symptoms, my heartburn seems to have eased off a bit, so that could be another indication that my bump has dropped. It was quite bad, and I did ask for a prescription from the doctor for the midwife to make a request for me, and I didn't get one. And when I saw the midwife today, she asked me if I wanted a request putting in, but it hasn't been that as bad the last, I think, a week now. So I said not to bother. If it is bad, I can always ring up the midwife and ask for her to make a request for me, but it just seemed to have eased off. I do get it every now and then, but nowhere near as bad as it was previously. Another symptom I've been having is something that I think is called lightning crotch, where I get a sudden pain down in my kind of pelvis area, and it's just really sudden and very painful, but then it's gone in a few seconds. And it must just be the baby's head just moving into position or hitting something, hitting a nerve. That's quite painful. Again, that can be another sign of labour, that labour's going to be there soon, but again, it can be weeks before that happens. So I have been getting that as well. Still getting a lot of back pain. Sciatica's not too bad. I just have to be careful to make sure that I don't kind of pull my back in the wrong direction. So I am really trying to be careful and not do too much, but it's really difficult not to, and I feel like there's all these things that need doing right at the end to make sure that life is a bit easier after the baby is here. So it is difficult to try not to do too much, but I am trying to take it easy as much as possible. Also at my midwife appointment today, she talked about my iron levels. I had my bloods taken last week, so she had the results today. It had been getting a bit too low. I think it was 108, then 107 the following time, and it's now gone down to 103. And she said it's not too low, it's borderline on needing medication, but at the moment she's happy not to give me medication and to just continue with trying to up my iron intake. So obviously having some leafy greens and other things like that that help, red meat, that help to increase your iron levels. So I've been doing that, and I'm going to continue doing that. So even though it has dropped, maybe by doing what I have been doing with my food, I've stopped it from dropping too low. I think I went on iron tablets around this time, or at least I got a prescription around this time last time with my pregnancy, or maybe it was a little bit later, I don't remember now. So it could drop again, and they could well put me on iron tablets after the baby's here, but at the moment they're happy not to put me on iron tablets. Something that doesn't really fit into symptoms, and maybe I should have talked about it in my labour signs, was that they have talked about inducing me at 40 weeks. I think I mentioned that in my previous update. Last week when I went to see the doctor, I saw a different doctor and he didn't mention it, so I thought I'd mention it today with my midwife, and she asked me if I'd consented and what I wanted to do, and I said I had consented. Part of me would like to just let things happen naturally, and because they're talking about inducing me at term at 40 weeks and not 41 or 42 weeks, and that's to do with my age because I'm now 40. And she mentioned that, my midwife today, that the reason why it was never mentioned before is because I was 39 when I first did my booking appointment, and obviously now mid-pregnancy I've turned 40, so that's why it's never been mentioned before. And it wasn't that it's to do with the placenta kind of deteriorating or not working quite as well past 40 weeks in women over 40. But she said that doesn't automatically happen at 40 weeks, it's more like 41, 42 weeks. So what she's done is booked me in for an appointment because no induction was booked. She was quite surprised at that. If they were talking about it and I'd agreed to it, why there wasn't an induction booked for me. That wasn't booked, but she has booked me in for an appointment at the hospital, and they will then discuss what to do next and no doubt book me in for an induction. That's actually been booked for a couple of days after I am 40 weeks, so I will already be 40 weeks when I have that appointment. And then obviously whenever they book me in for my induction, so I will already be over 40 weeks at that point. We will see what happens. I am hoping that I go into labour before that so I don't have to be induced, but I can't ignore the statistics, and I'm in quite a lot of pain now, and the thought of going to 41, 42 weeks just doesn't delight me at the moment. So I've consented to this. I'm quite happy to be induced if needs be, and hopefully I go into labour before that so that I don't have to be induced and everything happens naturally, or as naturally as possible. My belly button in or out, definitely visible through my clothes now, and it has been for a long time. My wedding rings on or off, they are on. Actually, I've just got my wedding ring on today, not my engagement ring, but not a problem to take it off and put it back on again, so I haven't really swelled up in my hands at all. Happy or moody most of the time? I am pretty standard at the moment. We've had quite an exciting weekend. We have celebrated our little boy's 2nd birthday, we've taken him to see Santa Claus and moved him into his new bedroom, so a bigger bedroom than what he had, because we want the bedroom he had to be the nursery again, and we're not going to be doing any decorating on that. For anyone who might be interested in seeing a tour of the nursery, I probably won't be doing one for YouTube because the room is so small and it will be so difficult to be able to try and record that on camera, but I have written a blog post on it and I will link that for you so you can go and see that. And it's probably going to be pretty much exactly the same as when Toby had it as a nursery. Obviously there will be a few different things up on the shelves because those things belong to Tommy, but other than that everything else will be the same. Tommy's new bedroom isn't quite finished, it is painted and we have his furniture in there, but I do plan to do a bit more decorating, and once that's done I will no doubt do a room tour for you, but that'll be sometime in the future. I decided it was best just to get the painting done, get him in there as quickly as possible without the worry of doing anything else, and when things settle down in the new year we can decide what we want to put up on the walls, like pictures or any sort of decor, but it is done enough for him to be in there. So yeah, other than all those things happening over the weekend, I'm pretty standard at the moment, not really moody. Thankfully the stress has started to ease off. There's still a few little bits to get done before the baby comes. I get the house back in order now that the bedroom is decorated, but other than that I'm relatively stress-free as far as you can be at this late stage in your pregnancy. What am I looking forward to? Well, with all the excitement that we've just had over the weekend, I'm looking forward to some relaxation and just welcoming this baby into our family. Obviously I don't know when that's going to happen, but I am looking forward to some relaxation and not having any plans over the next couple of weeks. We haven't got anything booked in other than just getting a few last things done in the house, just to get it a bit more organised. We have absolutely no plans, so I'm looking forward to some relaxation, definitely. And last of all, my belly shot. So this is my bump from the front and from the side. And the other side. Well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, so you can follow along on the end of my pregnancy. I'm not sure how many more updates I'll be able to do. Don't forget to go follow me on Instagram and Facebook so that you can hear the announcement of when I have had my baby. I don't know when, if I have the baby in the next week or two, I don't know when I'll be able to get another video up. I have got a few videos planned and hopefully I'll get those recorded so that I can get those scheduled over the next week or two, but obviously having a newborn baby is difficult enough without added stress of trying to get other things done. But if you go follow me on Instagram and Facebook, no doubt you'll be able to see some updates and of course photographs of this new baby. And I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye.